Hi, welcome to Sesame Street, and our number for today is the number 8. Actually, this is Jundo, and our subject for today is the Eightfold Path, which, if you've been following along the last few days, is the fourth of the Four Noble Truths, the medicine for the dukkha that ails us. Now, this Eightfold Path is very interesting, because in modern terms, we might call it a holistic lifestyle. It's a way of life and study and practice through Zazen that complements each other and helps us realize the the wisdom and compassion that is at the heart of our practice and is the medicine for the suffering that the Buddha saw. So we're going to spend several days talking about each of the steps of the Eightfold Path. And actually, again, steps is wrong because each part complements the other. Now, we're in the Zen school, so we think that Zazen, of course, is the most important part. And in a sense, it is. It's the unique practice that enlivens the other steps, or I shouldn't say steps, I should say spokes of the wheel of the Eightfold Path. But those other spokes also facilitate and enable and give definition and life to our meditation practice. It's actually a two-way street with each aspect of the Eightfold Path illuminating and enlightening the other aspects. Let me give you a few examples. Now, we usually break down the Eightfold Paths into three basic parts. First, there's the part that is about knowledge. You think that Zen is about doing away with study, that it's anti-intellectual. Well, that is really a misunderstanding. You see, if you just meditate by itself, it's a lot like going into the kitchen to bake a cake without having any idea of the ingredients or the recipe. You just sit zazen, just turn on the oven, open the door, and throw whatever you reach into the oven and hope that a cake comes out. Now, some people are going to say, but Jundo, I thought we're not trying to achieve anything. We're not trying to bake a cake in our Zen practice. Well, I hope if you've been watching this long enough, you know that we're non-trying to bake a cake. We're trying to bake a cake by not trying. But that's a separate topic. The point is that if you just turn on the oven and throw anything you find within arm's reach into the stove, it is very unlikely that a cake is going to come out. The first part of the three divisions of the Noble Truths is study and thought, to understand the philosophy that guides and enlightens our Zazen practice, so that we can interpret the experience, so that we can send the experience into certain directions. So it involves a basic study of Buddhist philosophy. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. It involves learning to think in certain ways, very different from the ways that we may have thought before we began our Buddhist practice. In turn, just concentrating on books or thinking is not enough. You see, in a sense, the Zazen gives life to the philosophy. So it feeds each other. And then the philosophy becomes so much a part of ourselves that then we transcend those books. We transcend the knowledge. Okay? The second part is the precepts. Some folks have been writing me recently surprised that I place a little emphasis on the precepts. And let me tell you, folks, compared to some people in Buddhism, I am pretty liberal about the precepts. But if you find any teacher in Buddhism who does not emphasize the precepts, I'm going to use the kitchen analogy again about the cake. The fellow's half-baked, because the precepts are necessary to our Buddhist practice. Let me just give you a simple example. How are you going to practice as a good Buddhist if you're sleeping with, having an affair outside your marriage, You got a drinking problem. You're cheating people in your job, which, by the way, your job is to be a hitman. And you're constantly a bigot who's losing his temper with other people and calling them names. Does that sound like the condition in order for you to get the most out of your Zen practice? So the precepts guide us into a healthful lifestyle to facilitate our Zazen, and in turn, like I said, it's always a two-way street. Our Zazen makes that kind of healthful, and helpful lifestyle of seeking to avoid harm. It makes it that much easier to live. So it feeds in both ways. So this is why it's a holistic whole. And hopefully, when we get done with this, through the third part, which is the Zazen, the meditation, which is putting the heat on in the oven, the precepts, which are having the right ingredients, and the intellectual part, which is having the correct recipe, we end up with a lovely cake. We spare no expense on special effects around here. Okay, so I'll put the cake mix up here just as a reminder today. And let's get down to making a cake, or not making a cake. Not making, you know what I mean. this is Zendo the cake baker saying the bell has rung. Time to take it out of the oven. And we'll see you here at the Treeleaf tomorrow. Be good. Try that again. Still be good.